Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grab some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into the Film Guy Network on a fabulous Tuesday evening. Just finishing up some notes right here as the show openings. We do indeed have a loaded one for you guys tonight. Welcome in. Glad you're here. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and rate and reviewing. We got a lot of topics, but we're going to open tonight's show because didn't have a chance to just do very much before we got in here. Rolled right in and turned the camera on. Got some thoughts from the trail for you right here. Just got back from Milton High School. Coach Reeves just won a state title, and before I could even congratulate him on winning a state title, I got shit for not going to Milton last year during the spring tour. So it was one of those I gotta win a state title to get you out here kind of deals. That's on me. Well deserved and well received on the shit taking end of that. But was out there obviously to see Ethan Barbour and CJ Wiley, Luke Nickel, the whole bunch. Ryan Gee committed to Auburn, whole group, the defensive back committed to Tennessee, whole bunch of Power 5 football players. But I feel like I was telling you guys before the show, I feel like the last couple of days I've seen a couple of guys that I feel wholeheartedly will be NFL football players. I think Isaiah Gibson's going to play in the NFL. I think Justice Terry is going to play in the NFL. I think CJ Wiley's going to play in the NFL. CJ Wiley is like scary good, like bordering on freak category, bordering on, we don't do 5 stars here, but certainly going to be in contention for a my guy. If he ends up in the 5-star discussion, he's well deserved and well earned of that. He is all of 6'4". He is all of 190 pounds. He is all of a 10.8 300-meter runner. Dad played at LSU and in the league for a minute. Mom was a Division I athlete as well. This is all the boxes. Pedigree, works hard, plays both ways at Milton, like runs track at 6 a.m. and comes out and does like football practice. This is a verified, guaranteed dude. Moves extremely well, tracks the ball really, really well when it's in the air. I'm all in on that one in terms of like knowing and guaranteeing that he's going to be really good in college. He's got 4 official visits set up. We'll have more on this over on Dogs Daily tomorrow morning. He's going to go to Florida State, Georgia, USC, and LSU. Those are the OVs, and he plans to be done wrapping up and doing a commitment at some point before his senior year starts up this year at Milton. We obviously, boys, watched the tape, I would say, like a couple weeks ago here on the channel, and we're blown away here. Just, I mean, it was 1,400 yards or something like that last year on a state championship team in Milton.
Yeah, I mean, especially having one of these in-state products at wide receiver, I think that was a conversation we got into when talking about CJ, as really Georgia hasn't had some of these, and so this being one of them, CJ being a big-time prospect and a full year left of high school going to show out. So an exciting one for sure for Georgia fans, but an exciting one just in general to see where he goes and ends up. An
important one, man. A major priority for Georgia in this class in 2025, and it sounds like they've done a really good job, even with having to deal with some wide receiver coaching turnover right there at that position coaching job in the midst of this, obviously going from BMAC to James Coley. CJ told me today, it sounds like James Coley's in constant communication on a day-to-day basis, so doing a good job there. Ethan Barbour obviously just transferred, the Georgia tight end commit just transferred from Alpharetta over to Milton. And the thing that I've always thought about Ethan, first and foremost, he's going to be a true H in college. Like I don't think he's going to be a Y. I think more Brock than Darnell. I'm not saying he's Brock. I'm just saying they're going to be more apropos to use him like that, as opposed to using him as like an inline guy. I think Elias has an opportunity to become that as that size of a human and ultimately developing it into more of a Darnell role. But the thing that I've always noticed about Ethan, obviously he's a great route runner. He's really good in and out of his breaks, but he's got the rare combination of both really, really strong hands when it's in his hands, like you're not getting it out, you're not knocking it out, it's in there, like real good mitts. but really soft hands too. You don't hear the ball smack him. Like as soon as it's almost like he's a receiver. He's not a catcher. He's a receiver of the football. So yeah, really, really excited about his future, obviously, as that H tight end, just kind of being a mismatch and a guy that's really hard to cover and really smart, knows how to run the grass.
Is that really something that usually is different of like if you have strong hands, usually you're not like a soft catcher?
I mean, like I think of strong hand guys are like guys that win like 50-50 balls. Like Xavier Legette's got like real strong hands, but he doesn't have like soft hands. It's not like a real natural receiver of the football, looks kind of stiff. Larry Fitzgerald had the rare combination of both.
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson, strong hands, not soft hands. Okay. The strong hands normally comes from big bodied guys.
Yeah.
You don't, I mean, trying to think. No, it's rare that the combination happens. You're either one or the other. Normally.
Gotcha. Interesting.
I'm trying to think of who would
got
be.
soft hands, but sometimes he lets it into his body. DB might break it out. That kind of stuff.
I gotcha.
Rojack, strong hands, dependable hands.
Very.
Wouldn't say those are soft hands. So there you go. Solid discussion. All right, on to the next one. Luke Nickel, their quarterback, a dude. Can flat out play the position, man.
That's a squad. Holy shit.
Man. It's really, really good. They returned almost everybody from a state championship team from last year.
Back to back?
Yep. I mean, I'm not going to say probably, but they got a good opportunity to do so. Number 3 on the roster. Coach said he's committed to Duke. I got a roster right here. I got to pull this one out. Mekhi Jones. Mekhi Jones, a guy. A guy we might need to watch some tape on at some point. I like Mekhi Jones. I like the way he moved today. I like the way he looked today. So there you go. That's my Milton observations. Went to Roswell as well today in Cambridge. A little story about Cambridge. Cambridge got an offensive guard. His name's Gabe Harris. He is big. Okay, you know these guys. He's big. He bumped into Coach that came to see him today, and it was like, "Hey, Coach, nice to meet you." And he didn't stop walking before he did so. So all of his inertia hit Coach belly to belly. Coach about fell over. And then he shook my hand, and it was one of those like cartoon, like your handbrake kind of thing, like. As soon as he shook my hand. Gabe Harris, big human.
What year
over there at Cambridge? He is a senior. It sounds like there's some mid-major like starting to get into the Power 5 rank. Tech loves him. There's just some general foot speed questions, but in terms of being able to move humans, a dude moves humans. They also have a lefty that I tweeted out. That quarterback can spin it. He's got a little ways to go, but you got to go see that guy throw. That is a really, really live ball. I saw him for the first time. Weston Johnson, I think is his name. I don't want to butcher this. I tweeted him out today.
That's Taylor.
Weston Taylor?
Yeah.
Weston Taylor, okay. I saw him at the bubble for the first time, and it got to a point where, I'm kind of helping out with the quarterbacks. It got to a point where I stopped the drill and told the receivers, like, hey, the lefty can throw the ball. Like, guys were taking balls off the face. Guys were like off the forehead, off the skin of the top of the head, because it's like, oh, I'm trying to catch that. Oh, wow, that ball's got life, and it just like jumps on him. And we had to blow the drill up and say, hey, guys, this guy can throw the football. Pay attention. They've kind of had this sort of growth period at Cambridge as well. If I were a quarterback coach and I needed a guy and I was into live arms, I would be going by Cambridge this spring. So yeah, and this fall, because Buddy can absolutely spin it, and it's rare the ball jumps like one of those guys. So there you go. Those are thoughts from the trail. Welcome into tonight's show. We got a loaded one for you. We're going to talk about Arkansas's newest old recruit. We got some post-spring overreactions. Shedeur Sanders making the showrunner list today. Highest NFL vet earnings. Apparently, there's a national conference going on. Deion doubling back down into the show notes again today as well. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Make sure you're firing off in that chat, doing all that good stuff. And while you're in the supporting mood, head over to prizepicks.com. Use promo code Brooks. We're all fiending for some PP nowadays. Head over to prizepicks.com. Use promo code Brooks. Get 100% deposit match. What does that mean? You put up to $100, you'll get $100 matched instantly. It is Taco Tuesday. There's an NBA game going on right meow. There's another NBA game tipping off at 9:30. So head over there and get in on some action. Where are we going, boys?
We start with Arkansas's newest recruit.
We're going to do that? Mm-hmm. This is a wild story. This is, I would imagine is this becoming more common? Do we think this is going to happen a little bit more often? Or does this happen every so often where we have a guy who, I don't know much about my man's baseball career.
Wasn't good.
Wasn't great.
So he flamed out. I didn't want to jump to assumptions,
Big
but this is what happens, right? You go and get highly drafted in baseball, you flame out, and then it's like, you know what? I'm going to give football a run, a la Brandon Whedon. But this is the first time we've seen a receiver do this, I feel like.
Yeah, he was a second-round draft pick in 2014 by the Miami Marlins, and he batted 176 with 3 home runs in the major league. So, yeah, like Christian mentioned, big minor league guy. Couldn't really make things shake in the MLB. I think he also played for the Angels for a little bit as well. So
he was a 4-star recruit at the time in 2014. So, I mean, he was at least talented to play the position. This isn't just like Sam Pittman's going out and plucking like, hey, here's an MLB guy. Maybe he can play football. Like he could legitimately was a football player. Now that was 10 years ago, so we'll see. But
what I want to know is I want to know some back channel reporting on the private workout that happened that wasn't supposed to happen to allow everybody to know that this dude could still, run routes and pluck the football.
Well, that was the question I was going to ask is like, do you think that this was him talking to Arkansas, like asking like, hey, maybe we could make something work, you get a spot, or like Arkansas found him again or something like that, and was like, maybe we should go talk to him, see if he wants to play football?
I can almost guarantee you somebody on the staff recruited this guy out of high school. There was a previous relationship that was, already existing that they were, leaning back upon, you would imagine. But not hard to be. The good news is he's been an athlete. He's been working.
Right.
He's been actively moving his body. But what are the rules on this? As long as you didn't enroll into a college, you have college eligibility as long as you want it. How does that work?
Pretty much what I understand,
basically.
yeah.
Because you guys cooked your eligibility the moment you started going to school, right? You suckers. You can't finish your degree and then be like, you know what? I'm gonna go back for some extra degrees and try to play men's hoops.
No, I think you can. I think you just have to be a full-time student. So I mean, you'd have to pick up another degree.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I know that like South Carolina State, I believe it was a school that had like the 54-year-old.
55.
He was like 55 playing running back or something stupid like that. So I don't know how that works. I do know, like, I heard this from Herschel Walker the other day talking about like when you have a scholarship, you have it for life. I didn't know that.
Okay, so this was an SEC like competitive recruiting strategy thing with Joe Namath originally with the Alabama bunch, right?
Yeah. Namath
promised his granddaughter, I'd go back to school if you like finished your degree. Went back and got his degree, and it was like, hey man, you can come back. I don't. It's been around college athletics a long time where yes, you can come back and finish your degree if you went pro.
Interesting.
Especially in the baseball, realm of things.
I think it is crazy. Like he's going to be 28 years old playing college football, and then like if he does make something of his college career and he ends up being an NFL draft prospect, like this dude could be 32 years old by the time
as a rookie.
By the time he gets to the NFL, or like if that happens or whatnot. But
is this a bad sign if you're an Arkansas fan?
I mean, if the dude can play, it doesn't matter. But if he's like,
I guess,
if he's like a mediocre player and you needed this kind of depth, that would be. But I think there are several other bad signs if you're an Arkansas fan.
That's fair. I guess just the optics of they're like, we're going out and getting a 28-year-old guy who hasn't played football in 10 years to be on our team. Like, is our wide receiver room in that desperate need of a body? Like, I mean, like, if he can play, obviously this is a moot point, but what are the odds like this guy's a superstar or at least a 500-yard receiver?
Well, I mean, he's going to be a grown-ass man.
Yeah, that is true.
Do we have heights and weights on my man?
I can pull it up.
I want to say, if I remember, he was like 6'2", 180 range. But I could be wrong.
Let's see, MLB.
Does he have any children? Because you got dad strength at that point, too.
That's true.
The minor league webpage has him listed at 6'1", 218.
That's a big slot.
That's a big man.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. These things have a decent history, but I think we only hear about the good ones.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's also like it's usually not like it's like a quarterback.
It's almost always a quarterback. Very rarely a skill position player.
Or a punter, maybe, or a kicker.
Clemson had a retired Army vet a while back.
You know, I want to know what the NIL deal is because he spent a lot of time in the minor leagues. Yeah. You don't make crap from the minor leagues. So this man's probably living his best life now. If he got a substantial amount of money or like any type of money, he's still making more than what he made in the minor league. So like, Honestly, probably good business move for him as well.
I mean, went from eating ramen to eating like regular fast food.
Yeah.
You would imagine. Fast food nowadays, expensive.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's not good.
All right. So, yeah, got a 28-year-old wide receiver. He's 28, right?
28 years old, yeah.
Be 32 by the time he's done.
Lovely. Dad mode. Get that dad power. If he does have a child, he's got that dad power. That's the thing that...
I mean, 6'1", 214, he's going to have some strength anyway, or at least he better.
I mean, hey, this is
better.
Like, he's about your age.
You know, I told the story about the indoor Georgia Force team, didn't I?
I don't know if you told it on air.
Okay, so the Georgia Force team practices over there at the bubble.
Oh, yeah.
And the coach kind of eyed me up, was like, you play some balls? Like, yeah, I did back in the day. He's like, basically offered me an opportunity to play Arena League football. I was like, I'm good. And then I found out what they make. About $1 a week. CTE for $1 a week.
Is that year round or is that just
it's like 16 weeks.
16 weeks.
Yeah, it's like, you know, Monday through Saturday. I'm a grown ass man with a job and a wife and 2 children. $1 a week.
Depends on what the travel's like. Like if I'm good,
no health insurance.
Miss me with that.
Yeah.
You want me to come out of retirement with no health insurance?
I mean,
and go bang my head again.
You fuck around, tear your knee up, and you're like, there goes the $1 a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There goes the $1 a week.
Everything you made is going into surgery.
Yeah.
Facts.
Now you got to
Big
fix
time.
the knee with the band.
So you're gonna see me out there playing hella timid, you know, just feel like, ooh, hey coach, where my check at? Make sure that they know. Yeah. So no. Chat says, is a band $1K? Yes, it is. It is $1,000 a week. So not bad, not a bad living, you know. If you're like an electrician and you still got dreams of being out here making plays and being a ball player, playing Arena League football for $1,000 a week is not like embarrassing.
No,
it's not like saying I play, you know, semi-pro. Like the semi-pro leagues around here get kind of like, bro, just come on.
Yeah.
Just because you can buy cleats doesn't mean you should not hang them up. Where are we going next?
What do you think was wilder? The fact that Arkansas is getting a 28-year-old wide receiver to commit to them, or Shedeur dipping his toe into the music industry?
Definitely the Arkansas thing, in my opinion.
A 28-year-old wide receiver is not near as surprising to me, it's far more surprising to me than an athlete trying to be a rapper. Here is the thing about both of these individuals and types of individuals. Every rapper wants to be a baller, whether it be a football player or a hooper, and every football player and hooper wants to be a rapper.
Oh.
This is the case.
It is. I mean,
this is the case. They all think they can do both, and it's just the way it is, in my opinion.
We listened to it on the way here. It wasn't horrible.
I mean, it's a typical trap song.
Yeah. Sounds to me, it just came across as like your typical like, oh, listen to what I just uploaded on SoundCloud. Like, go give it a listen. That type of thing. Like, okay, like not bad, not horrible, but definitely better at football than you are.
SoundCloud's
rapping.
Still going?
I looked it up today.
Yes.
Yeah.
The EDM scene.
Are people still like popping on SoundCloud though? Like so and so's a SoundCloud rapper.
Nah, it's not. It's not as much rappers anymore as it is like DJs putting their mixes up.
Like this shit, and it is shit. This shit's on Spotify, isn't it?
Yeah.
Already. Mm-hmm. So he's probably got like a decent label behind him.
I mean, he's already on. Yeah.
The only thing
it's a Migos track.
No.
Who's Migos producer?
Metro Boomin.
Yeah. Is it a Metro beat?
I wouldn't.
I mean,
say
it
no.
sounds like it.
Yeah.
There's no tag on it.
But my immediate thought though was now as soon as Colorado gets blown out or beaten for the first time this next year, there's going to be a video of the opposing team locker room blasting Shadur.
Oh yeah,
song.
I mean,
but at the same time, not really a good
streams, bro.
Yeah, not really a good troll because you're just enhancing his streams and his plays on his song and giving him more popularity. So
it is free meme material, but you're also getting paid to do it because every time they play that song, you're going to obviously get residuals from it. So. Smart play, not a smart play. Everything that I feel like Deion and Shadur have done during their time at Colorado is kind of like, I mean, it's smart because you're going to get attention from it, but is it smart because the entire world's just going to clown you now? Like that's the entire recipe for them, I feel like.
And the weird thing is that the whole we don't care what y'all think about us. Mm-hmm. That's the whole attitude. And then the latest comments from him about just being bored. He felt very defensive.
Ooh, yeah.
Very defensive.
These quotes are really interesting.
You want to go? Let's go ahead and get into this now.
Okay.
And just tie the two, and then we can just beat the Colorado horse to death, and then move on.
Okay. So Deion said about the tweets that he made to the transfer portal kid and all of these things. He said, "I got to do better on that and not ride with it. But I was bored. I was bored, and I didn't say nothing hurtful. I don't attack people." Is a big quote. And then he said, "I tried my best to refrain, but like when you posted like stats, I said, Lord Jesus, like dang, he really went at him, like he really shot him." Sanders said, "That's really what I meant, and I think that was taken wrong. I think that was taken sideways or something else."
You see, the funny thing about, just taking sidebars and side jabs on Twitter is that there's a lot of room for you to be misinterpreted. So this whole idea of, well, people just didn't understand what I was trying to say. Well, then you probably shouldn't have said it.
Yeah.
The whole point I think everyone got on him for was like, bro, you're a head football coach. Why are you even over there? What are you doing?
Well, Mike Florio put in the final paragraph of the article, he said, "Those with big platforms need to be careful to communicate in ways that ensure nothing will be taken sideways, because it sure looked like Deion was taking shots."
It did.
Yeah, I mean, like the smart thing to do is you have to, and again, it's part of what I think is the genius and kind of at the same point, like idiocracy of Deion Sanders. It's you're constantly doing stuff that's going to get you criticized and it's going to get you people talking about you, but at the same time, he never explicitly says what he's thinking, or never explicitly says what he means, to a point where, like, if he does get in a situation like this, he can go, "Y'all are misinterpreting what I'm saying. I don't do that. That's not what I'm doing. This is how you took it. What I meant by this is," but he's always leaving that vagueness out in the air.
Plus, I mean, it's certainly going to feel like you're taking shots when your son is trolling the kid and he's also taking shots at him, and then you're piling on top, and then like someone pops in as well, they're trolling the kid because he didn't put up any stats, and then you chime in on top of that. Like, how is anybody supposed to interpret it any other way other than you taking shots at him and being a troll, essentially, like not being the bigger person in this? And again, just sit on your hands, keep your thumbs in your pockets, and don't go on Twitter and say things like that, and you can avoid this scrutiny.
Also, I don't necessarily want to hear no more bitching, moaning, and complaining about the college football calendar.
I was about to say, yeah.
If we're bored,
yeah, you had time.
We're
to be
bored. We got time. Like, why are we bored? We got plenty of shit to do.
I did think that was funny though. When everybody's like, "Of course you got time right now, Deion, because you don't be on the recruiting trail anyway. So of course you got time to be on Twitter right now."
He does have a point. I mean, how much of that roster is from the transfer portal?
A lot. Yeah. Wasn't it like last year, like almost 60 kids total were in the from the portal or something like that?
Good God.
I try my best to refrain. This is Deion trying his best to keep his mouth shut on situations like this and keep his hands clean on the beef on Twitter. I try my best to refrain. Lord Jesus. He was just laughing, I guess.
I guess so. I don't know.
I guess, but again, like, why would you even put yourself in that situation?
Yeah, especially, I mean, the whole athletic article, the whole point of it, in my opinion, was basically to just point out to the fact that, hey, Deion's doing this the way that makes players feel a little bit less valued, and a little bit, not necessarily embarrassed, but like, haha, nana, nana, boo boo type shit. Mm-hmm. And then they spend the next 3 days doing that on Twitter. As the Sanders crew. So, yeah.
Do you think that this kind of situation is ultimately what's been the reason that Shedeur is no longer the odds-on favorite to be the number one pick in 2025?
No, I think that's just Carson. I think the tape of Carson's is really, really being evaluated right now and is just going up and up and up.
It is interesting, though, they opened up as like a pretty strong favorite to be the number one overall pick. And then like within, I think it's like a week or maybe a little bit over a week, then you drop him behind Carson Beck. I think it probably is a little bit of a coincidence that all of this unfolded at the same time, that the odds kind of changed. But I think it is interesting. Like, again, you're so far out from the 2025 NFL draft, like why all of a sudden you want to change the odds?
I think it has a lot more to do with once the 2024 draft is done, all of the draft analysts and all of the draft world starts to turn their focus towards 2025 immediately. Yeah. And with that comes the first group that they evaluate is the quarterbacks group. And Carson's tape, I think, had a lot more to do with that than Shadur dropping an album and talking some shit on Twitter.
For sure.
Even
I would agree with
that. You can't tell me that, I mean, for Christ's sakes, we saw A.D. Mitchell drop apparently in the draft because he just didn't have the quote-unquote right attitude in Indianapolis during team meetings. Like, He went in there. It's like they're like 7:30 in the morning, and he looked like he didn't want to be there. Right, because he didn't want to be there. So, yeah, there's a lot that drops the draft grades on a lot of these people. However, I think the change in the odds has far more to do with people realizing, oh, wow, this guy went from reads 1, 2, 3, check the ball down. The next drive, it was like 1, 2 is a tight window, but I'm going to rip it anyways. Oh, shit, he's 6'5", 230 pounds. Oh, my God, he's a former shortstop. Oh, he's a little bit better of an athlete than I thought. Sneaky athlete, might be a lunch pail guy. What's going on here? He drives a Lambo truck, first round, first quarterback. There's a lot more to do with that.
So probably an overreaction to say that it was some tweets that hurt his NFL odds of being the first overall pick. But how about some post-spring odds that we get into? You know, with spring practice wrapping up, we got to see some of the quarterbacks, up-and-coming players that are going to be playing more meaningful roles this next year. Got to see a different look at some teams that dipped heavy into the portal, a different outlook for some of these teams. So I thought it'd be good to do some overreactions that we are expecting for 2024 this season. If you want to start, Christian, you can go ahead and do that, or I can start. I got a couple that I think are good.
Should we? I do want to address this high school football question that's in the chat.
Oh, yeah, you can go and get into that. That's fine.
Do it. Henry Deion, is that how we're going to pronounce that last name? That's what we're going to do. Henry asked in the chat, hey, Brooks, is Georgia high school football on par or better than Florida and Texas high school football these days? When I played in the 80s, we were definitely up, but these days Georgia kids today, shoo-wee. I will tell you this, I can't speak for Texas. I would put Texas and Georgia on par. Texas just has more kids in more schools, okay, because they have more of a higher population. But in terms of like ranking Georgia high school football versus Florida high school football, the two are not even like remotely close. Florida has a ton of talent, do not get me wrong, but the organizational structure of high school football in Florida is the definition of chaotic. It is a mess, okay? And it's just not invested in at the rate that Georgia high school football is, and not even close, okay? So like you'll have an offensive coordinator at a 7A school in Metro Atlanta. That person might be teaching history or might be a gym teacher or whatever, but that coordinator might be making like $75,000 a year to coach high school football and be a coordinator, okay? And where the head coach might be making 150, like real money at a big school that has a lot of facilities and has a lot of access to a lot of things, turf facility, weight room, all kinds of good stuff. And then you go down to Florida and you talk to the offensive coordinator, you're like, hey, what are they paying you? And it's like, well, I get like $1,500 a semester. It's not even close. It's like they just don't have the resources directed. Now, it's not like that everywhere, right? St. Thomas Aquinas has enough to have Jordan, or not Jordan Taylor, who's Jason Taylor on the sideline, right? They can pay him to be the assistant coach over there. A prime example of this, Carl Reed, my buddy Carl Reed, works for 24/7 Sports, is on their recruiting show. Carl Reed is a name to know, and people know who Carl Reed is because Carl Reed spent 15 years, 20 years being the best high school football coach in St. Louis, was a tremendous high school football coach. Carl Reed was the first high school football coach in the state of Missouri to make $100,000 in like 2018. Bro, there's like 30, 35, 40, 45 high school football coaches in the state of Georgia making six figures. There's a bunch. Okay, so just the investment of into football here is so much higher. So there you go. It's just, I feel the very same way about Texas football, where it's just, I mean, it does, like the saying, it means more. It does mean more to those schools, but per capita right now, it's Georgia. Georgia per capita puts more football players in the NFL than anybody else.
Yeah, Texas just does it bigger and like a better, and like as far as facility
brand
goes. Yeah, the brand of it, everything. Like I know this coach that coaches high school football in Texas. I see on TikTok all the time, and he does his walkthrough through a day. And it's just insane, like what they have access to and what they're able to do throughout an entire day. And he's just like an assistant position coach or not even a head coach. And it's just ridiculous to see what they do in a day.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think I have a personal bias just because I've grown up in the state and I played against Georgia football players. But I feel like the state of Georgia is next to only California, Texas, and maybe like Louisiana or Alabama. But other than that, and of course Florida. But
two totally different discussions of like, hey, raw talent versus product on the field. Like if you just stacked up the best teams in Florida, they would be great. But top to bottom, I mean, there are really, really good programs in every classification here in the state of Georgia that do it really well and have really good football coaching. I mean, shit, there are like, I've been to 4 or 5 schools already where the head coach at that school has been a position coach in Division I football, left being a position coach in Division I football to be a high school football coach in the state of Georgia, because it's good. It's a really, really good life in a lot of these places, a really good life. There are certain jobs that I don't like. There are certain people, and I don't want to name their names because I don't want to get in pocket watching and talking about their shit. But there are several high school football coaches here in the state of Georgia where I'm like, why in the hell are you not a head football coach in college? Why are you not doing? And it's just, well, I don't want to do that. I'm good doing what I'm doing right now. I can do this for the rest of my life and be fulfilled. So. Yeah, there's your answer on a terrific question from the chat. Yeah, felt it needed to be addressed.
So overreactions now?
Overreactions on spring practices.
Okay.
All right. Am I going first?
You go first.
All right. So my first overreaction is I think Ohio State's lack of toughness is going to be what costs them a national title.
Ooh.
And that's specifically directed at Ryan Day, but
oh man, tough team.
Yeah. Every time.
It's tough, man.
It just
can't be tagging off in a spring game.
That spring game has just put such a bad taste in your mouth.
Real salty about a tag.
You're just like, why'd you even go out? I would rather you do what Ole Miss did.
Just not do it.
Yeah, tagging off is crazy. Even not even thudding up.
But what if you're just so good, top to bottom, on your roster that it doesn't matter? For 13 games, it's not gonna. They're gonna, dude. I think they're gonna walk through the Big Ten. It's way too early to say that.
They better.
The schedule is doo-doo.
Good God, man. They're so much better on paper than anybody else in that conference right now.
Schedule is doo-doo.
They don't play Oregon.
Play Oregon?
I don't think so.
I think Oregon's the only team in that conference that might be able to get them.
I read it the other day, and I was like, they do play Oregon, but
they might have to do it twice because they're going non-divisions.
Absolutely. But I'll read it off right now. Akron at home, Western Michigan at home, Marshall at home, at Michigan State, Iowa at home, Oregon on the road, Nebraska at home, Penn State on the road, Purdue at home, Northwestern on the road, Indiana, and Michigan at home as well to close out the season.
Oregon, Nebraska to Penn State on the road is kind of a tough stretch.
Nebraska's at home.
Yeah, but going from Oregon road, Nebraska, then Penn State on the road, that's a pretty difficult 3-game stretch.
I mean, it is, but again, you
should go 12-0.
It's a matter of we got to get through Oregon, and we got to make sure that we don't get boxed up against Iowa's defense this year, essentially. And then Michigan at the end of the year, we're kind of waiting and seeing what Michigan's going to look like. But the schedule overall, not exactly murderer's row for them this year.
Just too good of a roster to not dominate.
Yeah.
There was an article that came out yesterday. I can't remember. We wrote about it on Dogs Day. I can't remember who said it. But somebody said they have an opportunity to be better or as good or better than the 2021 defense. Oh, well, that's Big Ten. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the foxing right there.
Yeah, pumping in that Big Ten
Joe
magic.
Klatt, a classic, played minor league baseball before he came back to play college football.
Did he?
Or maybe vice versa. Maybe hung up the football cleats to go play minor league baseball. But either way, played them both at a high level.
I got an overreaction for you, and this is probably the king of overreactions if there ever was one. But I have some variety to it. So Arch Manning will be the starter for Texas by the end of the season.
Whoa.
And this either plays out one of two ways. It's either because Quinn Ewers gets another injury and then Arch Manning kind of takes over. And even if Quinn Ewers is healthy enough by the end of the year, they might just keep on rolling with Arch.
I was wondering why the hell Arch is on the cover photo of tonight's show.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay, you were cooking.
That was one. Or it just gets to the point of Quinn Ewers just doesn't feel like he's getting the job done. Maybe a Caleb Williams and Spencer Rattler Oklahoma situation.
You're wild.
But maybe where it's he's not hitting the deep balls, he's not hitting the deep shots. There's a lack of consistency of some of these SEC opponents at Georgia. Maybe he struggles there a little bit. Some of these opponents is let's just
Amari Black goes into coach's office and says, "I'm freaking out of here if you play this Quinn Ewers guy again." They reverse Rudy him.
Reverse Rudy him. So yeah, that's probably the biggest overreaction that I have.
That is a tremendously large overreaction.
I'll say I think the most think about it though. Quinn Ewers has been at Texas for 2 seasons. He's missed at least 3 games both of those seasons.
I know.
So
what was the reasoning this year?
He hurt his shoulder again.
It was a shoulder again because Malik Murphy had to play. It wasn't against any don't think it was against two big opponents. Like I think one of them was Kansas that he played against.
State too. Or no,
Yeah.
he came back against Kansas.
So I mean, I think it's an overreaction from the standpoint of like what Art showed you in the spring game told you like, hey, he's good enough to be the starter. But
the bigger overreaction is saying like he just outright wins the job because Quinn Ewers isn't playing good. But I think it is potentially likely that Arch Manning just kind of keeps the momentum rolling if Quinn Ewers does get hurt this season and he just takes over.
I'd buy stock in that.
You got any more?
Does he?
Yeah, let's see here. Drew Aller is like significantly bad, like sinfully bad. That is a massive, like guaranteed reaction from the spring. And what if he's just like, okay, because like people are talking about him like he is like awful. And I think that might be a slight overreaction, or maybe it's just, he's bad.
Could Drew Aller get James Franklin fired this year, you think?
No, I don't think, dude. I don't think James.
I don't know what that contract looks like, but
the more and more, and I know maybe I'm just buying into like draft like hype and watching a couple of videos and buying into something that I just watched on social media. But the way James Franklin's players respond to him and act around him, I think maybe he's just a good football coach that's at a job that is tough to win at.
I agree with that.
They're the third best program in the Big Ten. They're now the fourth best program in the Big Ten, maybe the fifth best program in the Big Ten, right? With Oregon and USC coming in there.
Yeah. I would put it
like people, and myself included, I give James Franklin shit for finishing exactly where he's supposed to finish.
Yeah.
He's a good football coach.
He is a good football coach.
I don't like. I think I'm good on the. I think I'm good on the. Is this the year James Franklin gets the heat? I think James Franklin's just going to be at Penn State until he's not.
Drew Aller can become successful this season if he just eventually decides to just chuck it up over the middle of the field. Just throw it up
let
there.
the receivers make a play.
Just throw it up there and see what happens.
Just press X.
Yeah, like things aren't going your way. Like eventually, you just got to sit there and say, "I just got to throw it up there."
Coach, you ever just like, just tell him to just throw the deep ball, just no matter what, just throw it down the field to see what happens.
You're making my skin crawl asking that question right now.
My head is literally hurting.
All right, my second one that I have as an overreaction is Alabama misses the college football playoffs this year, which is a weird thing to say because, I mean, they've been in the college football playoff for years on end, consistently, only missing it a couple of times, I believe. But I think like last night we looked at the rankings of like where people expect them to finish, and they had them at fourth. And I asked the question of like, is fourth in the SEC good enough for you to get in the college football playoff? And we said this year probably not. And I think fourth is kind of reasonable finish for Alabama this year, working a new head coach. Still got a whole lot of talent over there, and you're obviously still one of the better football teams in the conference. But I think there's better football teams in the conference this year, and I think other programs have more things going for them. I think they'll trip up maybe a couple times or maybe 3 times this year, and it gets them out.
I know that I don't think they play each other, Ole Miss and Alabama, but all it takes for Alabama to miss the playoff this year is for Ole Miss to be who we think they are.
Yeah,
right. Because we all presume Georgia and Texas are going to be that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Texas, maybe some people might have a few questions about, especially defensively.
Yeah, I don't know how the logistics of not making the playoff are going to work now, because it's always been like you have to win your division. Like divisions are gone this year, so the fact that Alabama and Ole Miss don't have to play.
I think to be guaranteed a playoff spot this year, you have to finish in the top 3 in the SEC, and to be that fourth team, you got to be inside the top 11.
I mean, yeah.
Which last year the cutoff would have been Missouri, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that to miss the 12-team playoff as an SEC team, you got to have like an 8-4 season.
I think if you're 9-3,
yeah,
I think there's a very real possibility. Yeah, 10-2. Like if you get into 9-3, then it's going to take a whole lot of other things happening in other conferences for you to get in there, in my opinion. Unless like the SEC just collides heads.
That's just what the history of the sport at least says.
Yeah,
a 9-3 SEC team at the end of the year is normally ranked outside of the top 11.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking up the 2023.
I was about to say, what are you about to Google? You're about to Google literally the standings December 1st? Like, where are we going here? What's the plan in the middle of the show? But anyways.
Yeah, that's my second one.
Yeah, all right. I think I might have another one down here. Miami, all it took was a really good quarterback to fix everything. It was a 7-5 football team last year, was it not?
Yeah, I believe it was.
7-5 football team in the ACC last year. That was a very flawed football team. It was a football team that just lost 3 NFL football players, 2 NFL safeties, and an NFL defensive lineman. Now, granted, they were like 5th, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round draft picks, but they were the best football players on that defense that are now gone. So, like, all it took was Cam Ward. Now, all of a sudden, we're like going to solve everyone's world's problems. I don't know about all that. I'm a big Cam Ward. He was algorithm, the definition of algorithm, created the segment that we didn't ultimately return to very, very often. But however, I'm a big fan of Cam Ward. But just Cam Ward is not going to fix everything that was wrong with the Miami football team last year.
Better game management will win you 2 more games on that schedule.
Well, the problem with that idea of the better game manager is also the coach on your sideline manages games very, very poorly.
Yes, he does.
Like historically bad.
Yeah, consistently.
Like colossal.
Colossally bad. Hysterically and historically bad.
Finding new ways to lose games.
Yeah.
Did you find anything on your Google search?
Nah, I gave up on that.
Okay. Well, do you have another overreaction that you like to give?
I think that this year's Heisman winner is not going to be a quarterback. Just
so who is it?
I don't know yet, but I mean, think about the 2.
Go on defense, baby.
The 3 biggest names in college football right now or at the quarterback position at least, are Shedeur Sanders, Quinn Ewers, and Carson Beck, and none of them really have that flash other than Shadur, who I don't think is going to be in this race. Like, Colorado at best is an 8-4 team, 7-5 maybe. Like, you're not winning a Heisman at that record. So I think this is kind of because we have it every few years, every 4 or 5 years, where it's a quarterback award, and then hey, we've got this generational wide receiver or running back that wins it for us. So I think that this might be the year where tables turn. I
feel like you slowly this offseason have started to believe a little bit more and more that Caleb Downs might actually win a Heisman.
I do kind of believe it. I don't know if I would say Caleb Downs is going to win it.
When it happens, do I get like major credit for that?
I think you should.
I think I should. Too.
I still haven't heard anybody else talk about it.
No, and it's going to happen eventually. Like 3rd week of the season, when he like highlights on offense a couple times, people are going to be like, "Holy shit, where did this come from?"
Call back to the show right there.
Yeah.
But is that maybe like who you're maybe thinking of? Or are you thinking more offensively, like a wide receiver or running back?
I think it's going to take an incredible season from Caleb Downs for him to win. I would think it's more of a running back or a wide receiver type thing.
Okay.
I'm putting the money on Caleb Downs year 2 at Ohio State.
Yeah, I would say another year, like year 3, final college
I'd put money on it now just for the value.
Just for the shiggles?
Yeah.
Just for the shiggles.
No book has given me that, by the way.
No.
They would think I was Shohei Ohtani's interpreter if I called that.
They would think you're the LSU baseball coach during the College Baseball World Series.
Bama's baseball coach.
Bama's baseball coach. Why are you putting money on this? Like, what the heck is going on here?
That Bama baseball coach story is hysterical.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He's like, oh, God. Just calling his buddy.
Hey, go put money on this right now.
Hey, our pitcher just pulled his fucking UCL ligament. Go in there and put money on LSU and tell them you have to have it done.
Yeah, tell them that you have intel on your phone of like, you'll never guess who I heard this from. You'll never guess who I got this information from.
Good God, man.
But,
terrible criminals.
So I think it's funny that you went the route with Miami that you did, saying that they're not going to be anything. But I went the route.
I didn't say anything.
Sorry.
Well, it's just like, whoa, easy.
Not going to be, not buying into the typical Miami hype. Well, my overreaction is that they win the ACC. I'm going to buy into. It's a big overreaction. Maybe this one might even be a little bit bigger than the Arch Manning one, to be honest. But we kind of got into it the other day, but I think with where the ACC is this year, where it feels like Florida State's taking a step back, Clemson is going to kind of remain the same that they've been the last 2 years. I think there's this window of opportunity, and I think that, Louisville kind of hangs around in this realm, but I think that the biggest thing for Miami, the biggest advantage that they might have this year is they returned 79% of their offensive production, which would rank 18th in the country, and then they add in Cam Ward as well. So if you just have the offensive powerhouse in the ACC, I think that could get the job done, because there's not a whole lot of this going on in the ACC at the moment.
All right, so I'm going to keep a running tab here. These are teams that a loudmouth gas bag has predicted may have a chance to win the ACC this year. I got a running tab here. We got FSU, Miami. Heard some NC State love, as always some NC State love. Definitely have seen some Virginia Tech might win that conference talk this year.
Virginia Tech might be a playoff team according to some.
Might be a playoff team according to some. Yeah. What the fuck is right? Yeah. What the fuck? Say it on air next time. Yeah, that is right. All right. So who are some other teams?
Louisville.
Louisville. Yeah. Some might mess around and win the conference. So yeah, 5 teams out of 14. Well, 16 now with shouts out SMU, Stanford, and Cal. All have a chance apparently to win this conference.
Wide open, man.
Maybe the conference is Clemson. Forgot Clemson on that list. Of course, they're getting picks as well. Maybe it's just not a very good conference this year.
Exactly. And that's why I'm saying, like, if Cam Ward, good as advertised, puts up big numbers, and he creates like this offense that is just leaps and bounds better than anybody else's in the ACC, I think it could just give teams fits, and they could very well end up like, this could be a season where it's like you're 10-2 and you win the ACC this year.
Where did Demon Deacon love at? That's all I want to know.
Nowhere.
Wake Forest. That left when Sam Hartman left.
You're right. Mm-hmm. Shout out Jamie Newman.
By the way, you nailed Henry's last name pronunciation of it.
Henry,
the one who asked a question about Georgia.
Oh, hell yeah!
That's a first for the show.
That is a first
for all of us. We're usually not very good at those.
I'm not even gonna call my man's out. I still can't. I don't even want to try to pronounce his name. Our gentleman in Discord who has literally phonetic. His name in Discord is his phonetical.
Leviathan.
Huh?
I think it's Leviathan.
Leviathan.
Yeah.
My brain immediately goes Leviathan every time. Leviathan. All right, yeah. We got it nailed. Shout out Leviathan.
Do you have any more?
No, those are my 3. Those are my big 3 that I have.
I've got one more.
Ooh. Come on.
Deion Sanders is on the hot seat after the 2024 season.
God. You guys are killing me.
He's king of hot seat. Like, anytime we get in these discussions of like a head coach, like James Franklin.
He's just trying to fire.
James Franklin going to be fired this year?
I just asked a question about James Franklin. I did not make any declaration on that. And hot seat is not being fired, by the way.
Why would Colorado ever put him on the hot seat? Why would Colorado not just sign up for this over and over again? People are talking about Colorado. No one ever talks about Colorado.
No matter how bad,
never fire that guy.
No matter how bad the football team is monetarily, that is you're gaining
that
every single year. You're gaining money every single year just because Deion's there.
That's an excellent point.
So just milk that out as much as you can before he dips out, or until like maybe something eventually comes about where you have to force your hand,
or he makes you fire him for cause or something.
Yeah, something like that. Like, milk it as much as you can, so that way when you do have to hire a new coach, you have all the resources in the world, and you're better than where you were. I don't know, like 4 years ago.
You already are. Yeah, you're so far ahead than where you were. And where Colorado's been basically my entire life. Like mid-90s, okay, right? I think 1990, they have a co-national title with Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. And then after that, early 2000s just disappeared off the face of the earth from a national landscape standpoint. And this is totally different now. Mm-hmm. People are talking about them consistently.
Well, I'm glad you brought up some NIL talk, because there was this national conference, and honestly, when you say
national conference, this was just a conference that was a big national, like big conference.
So this was a conference between representatives from Group of 4 schools, Group of 4 conferences, and then also the executive director from the Group of 5 collective. Okay. So I guess they had this national.
So the big wigs. And then they invited one joker from the little folk?
Yeah.
Okay.
From a collective.
You had to put in layman's terms there.
Yeah. And then they go and do this national conference at a hotel in Texas. But the big conversation around everything was about NIL and some talkings about that. There's also some talk about tampering. And that's where I'll get into first with this one, because I thought there was just some interesting quotes. Not going to dive into everything that was talked about in this article, because a lot of it is probably put you to sleep. But this first, what?
He's hella distracting. What the hell are you doing?
I was looking up just off the top of my head, trying to think what is Colorado's history been since 2004? The last 20 years, they've won more than 5 games. Guess how many times?
Twice.
5.
Yeah, awful. Really, really bad football.
I didn't know it was that bad.
It's been terrible. You sign up for this the rest of your life if you're Colorado's AD.
Yeah, I take back what I said about Deion.
All right,
okay.
Go.
Anyways, but yeah, so there's some discussions about NIL. Like, there was this quote where someone from the Group of 5 said, when NIL was first introduced, we said, we're not paying players. We're not going to do anything with money. That lasted about 6 months, because then when we started getting on the trail, everybody was talking about money. But there was this one discussion point during the meeting of tampering, and it says, for instance, the DFO, I don't know what a DFO is, by the way, I couldn't find it anywhere in the article, but it says DFO, who had been fired for wearing a collective's gear, said his school has started devoting extra personnel to chaperone the post-game handshake. They had to do so, he said, because they caught 2 schools tampering with their players just moments after the game ended.
Oh, these are opposing coaches just immediately after the game.
Yeah, like game's over, game's finished, going over to the opposing team's players like, hey, this offseason, Director of Football Operations.
The chat, our boy Chris Foster, as usual.
He's always locked in for us.
Always on fire. Locked in.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Like, you got to have chaperones now for post-game handshakes because you got to keep people from poaching your roster and tampering with your players. So that was one of the bigger talking points.
I can't let it go by. There's that notorious photo of Kirby talking to Caleb Downs after the SEC championship game. Also, Tavares Robinson standing right there, basically being Caleb's chaperone at the time. Mm-hmm. T-Rob on that video is like, when am I going to jump in here and get this dude away from my safety?
There's also an interesting quote. You know, we've been talking about the spring transfer portal and the winter transfer portal, and we got into this discussion about how, you know, money is probably tight around this time of year because you've already spent a whole bunch of money during the winter portal. But this quote actually says there's better players in January. There's more money in May, is what one of the I think it's someone from the Power 4 conferences said this, that they actually have more money during the springtime. There's just better players, I guess, in the winter portal, so you just make things happen is essentially what they were getting at, I guess.
How do teams have more money?
How would you have more money in May? I don't know.
I guess this is big time for dinners and award galas and things like that, and getting to talk to, this is like your prime time to talk to donors and whatnot.
It's also tax season, so I ain't that liquid this time of the year. That's
a good point too.
I ain't dumb rich. But
it's also like
end of tax season, but none of this is tax deductible. I was going to say maybe some of these guys are trying to get some tax write-offs immediately. But that end of the fiscal years in December, that makes no sense either way. This has become a business discussion.
It's also like negotiation season as well. So you'd have to imagine that most every player on your roster is getting some form of a raise. It's like I don't know how teams have more money. But
this was my favorite tidbit from the entire article. This is a good it made me laugh. I just thought it was like way out of left field almost in this, but it was a funny little story. It says, for instance, one donor recently paid players to appear at his child's birthday party after single offensive linemen have formed a genuine rapport with the donor, who then in turn invited the entire offensive line group to attend the child's birthday party and then turned it into an NIL opportunity for the players.
Is that illegal or is that legal?
I have no idea. I guess it's legal because you turned it into...
So this is just a story about NIL that they told in this article.
It was talking about donors building relationships within the program, building relationships with coaches, building relationships with players. And they just told this story about one of their players being invited to a donor's house for their child's birthday party.
This has been a thing in college football for a very, very, very long time of, you know, I got players having to do obligations to go do things for people who may be doing things for them. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
You know, you got to go buy this booster's dinner, or you got to go, you know, hang out with this person, go play chess with so-and-so because so-and-so may have contributed to your income, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That's been going on for a long time. But nowadays you're like almost like legitimately obligated to do these things. Now guys can literally buy your time. Very, very weird. Very weird, you know, time and era that we are in. Uncomfortable. I just think it's funny to think about like your teammate asking like, oh, where'd you get that new money you just got? And he's like, I attended this dude's child's birthday party and he gave you some money to show up. And
it's also funny to like think about like, guess what I got for your birthday party, son? It's like the Power Rangers? No, it's the starting linebacker.
The left guard on our football team.
Yeah, like
Northwestern's offensive line. Sounds like some shit.
I would have honestly rather had Spider-Man.
You know what? He says he created into
Mike Wazowski.
It would be. He did mention that it turned into an NIL opportunity. Maybe it is like, come to my child's birthday party and dress up in these costumes that I want you to be in.
Oh hell no! There's no way that's happening.
Make me a bicycle clown.
Oh my gosh,
that would be the worst.
Yeah, dude.
Honestly, I don't know. Would you rather like dress up as Spider-Man and like you're in the Barney suit today, or like you have to wear your jersey to this 6-year-old's birthday party?
An offensive lineman dressed up as Spider-Man is
bro. Give me the funny. Barney suit.
No, let me get.
Give me the Barney suit.
I'll just pull up in the jersey.
You want to be Barney?
Dude.
I mean,
I'll pull up in the jersey.
For real?
Yeah.
Just hop out.
But you know how hot those suits are?
Babies. Yeah, I know, but I don't know.
You get paid to do it.
Something
but you also get paid to pull up in the
indoors.
Jersey. Yeah, but just something embarrassing about just like going to a 6-year-old's birthday party.
Yeah.
As the main event, as an offensive guard.
And it's less embarrassing to do it in a Barney suit?
No one's got to know. I just got a fat check for dancing around in Barney.
Barney's still around? I don't know. feel like they kind of died out. But the final quote that I pulled from this, it was talking about when this was talking about how NIL is developed, but people think that it's these kids asking for money. But this DFO says the hard part about it is the kids aren't asking about it; it's the parents. They don't want to tour a dorm room. They don't want to meet with a professor. They want to talk about money.
It sounds like Nick Saban provided that quote. That's exactly what Miss Terry said to Nick Saban.
Yep.
The quotes that came out right after his retirement about, kids don't even ask anymore about development. It's like, how much can I get paid?
Why are you letting these people in our house that don't care about you, just care about money?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's the first and foremost conversation. I sat in a room today with a mid-major coach who I guarantee you this school that was talking to these athletes, if they have a collective, I'd be shocked. You know what I mean? Like, what? No, you get athletic scholarship. We're hurting to even provide that type of school. And the kids across from them, who, by the way, were probably on par, that level of athlete. They're like a mid-major athlete. They're not like a Power 5 football player. They're like guys who are searching for opportunities and will eventually get opportunities to play college football. They're great high school football players, but they're not like in the position to demand NIL. And when asked, like, what are the most important things in your recruitment? What are you worried about? What questions do you have? What types? Transfer portal, NIL. What, buddy? You need to be asking, like, what offense do y'all run? What does your depth chart look like? Is there available for playing time? Are y'all deep at my position? Who recruits this area? You need to be asking, what's your GPA requirement? Do y'all have an ACT threshold? Those are the questions you need to be asking, not are y'all NIL friendly? What are you talking about? But no, at the Power 5 level, the P4 level. Oh my God! Lead in every conversation begins with how much money y'all got.
I mean, I guess I can kind of especially if it is like parents steering the discussion into money, like this DFO is talking about. I can kind of understand it from some perspectives of like, if it's a tough situation at home, if you don't come from money and like your child has the opportunity to really capitalize off of this, then I could understand why parents maybe we would be putting emphasis on like, we want to make sure that we get you money now. Like, bro, I can understand why a little bit.
I want to say this right now. I ain't never hurt for a meal in my life. I come from middle America, two income household, come from decent money, not rich money, never poor. Okay. You put $250,000 in front of me, I'm going to jump as high as you tell me to jump. I don't care. It's $250,000. It's a lot of money for whoever, whether you're eating ramen every night, worried whether or not we can eat eggs for breakfast, whether or not we can even know if we're going to have a next meal, which a lot of young men and women in America are in that situation. But a lot of people from middle income and just regular America, $250,000, $100,000, six-figure income to play a damn game is a lot of influenceable money. Okay, so we ain't even got to do some people come from bad backgrounds. Bro, I come from good backgrounds, $250,000, a lot of freaking money. Okay, and that's like baseline. All right, so yeah, go on.
Oh, no, you pretty much just wrapped it up right there.
So I think sometimes we're like, oh, so-and-so comes from dirt, poor so-and-so. Bro, it's a lot of money for everybody.
Yeah. No, yeah.
There's a lot of money out there right now.
I was more so getting at the perspective of like, they're saying it's parents. And that's why I was saying like, I could see it like if a parent wanted to step in and make sure like that's what was most important, like situations like that is what makes me think of it.
And I would say me as a parent, if I had a kid making the income that I do and my child was going through a recruitment process like this, it would be on the forefront of my thought process too, because I understand the money that is available to be made over the lifespan of this career is valuable. It is incredibly high. Okay, there are very few jobs in this world that are going to pay you six figures nowadays. I don't know if anybody knows this. It's like really, really hard to make that much money in this world nowadays.
Absolutely.
Everything costs more and everything's harder to make. So it's just the way of the world right now. So yes, a lot of money going around, and it should be on the forefront. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be worried about education, all that stuff, but yeah, somewhere in the discussions, coach, we got to talk about how much money my child's worth. Sorry. Tough shit. Eventually, y'all will just come off, and we've talked about this on this channel. I don't know if everyone else gets into it, but all the bitching, moaning, and complaining can be directed directly towards your college presidents, Okay, college football coaches, all you guys. All y'all want to complain about all your players asking for money. Just bitch, moan, and complain to your presidents at your universities, because those are the people who have bucked and kept away revenue splits for decades. Okay, and now they're the ones getting bent over in court, a la the NCAA. But long story, wrapped up tightly. On to the local hour.
Muy bueno. Sure.
Let's do it. We'll see you guys in about 45 seconds.
Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You like that? You really like that? Let's shut up and grab some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back into our local hour. We have a whole nother hour of content for you guys. If you are not already subscribed to this network, you need to go ahead and do it. Hit that like, subscribe button right now. Statistics say about 20% of the audience does not subscribe to the network, so you need to. We're aiming for about 25K soon. I think that's the next cool milestone. You know, crossing over the Jordan metric at 23K will be cool. But 25 is the wholesome number we're in pursuit of. Hopefully we get there very, very soon. We got a great local hour for you guys tonight. We're going to talk about Dale McGee getting off to an immediate success over there. We got some opening betting odds that we're going to talk about tonight. We did some spring overreactions in the national hour. We're going to apply the same topic of discussion to the local hour here. Our boy Curb's got another player of the day for us. We're going to take a look at that. I think you're batting about 500 right now?
No, I'm 2 out of 3 right now. 2
out of 3. Hey, we'll call it 2 out of 3. We won't give the actual number there because it's a freaky one. Shout out to Drake.
667.
Just getting drugged right now. Oh, yeah, you're right. Repeated decimal.
Got to round it up.
What do they call that? Just repeating decimal?
Yeah.
Isn't there a mathematical term for that, though?
I think it's repeating.
Infinitely repeating.
Okay, just one of those. So, yeah, we got a player of the day. If you could have one guarantee this season, what would it be? We're going to talk about that tonight as well. But we're going to open today's local hour with a little Carson Beck discussion. Hey, Curb?
Yep. So, obviously, we touched on it in the national hour how Shedeur has fallen from odds-on favorite to be the number 1 overall pick in 2025. That has made Carson Beck consequently the number 1 overall. And my question to you all is it kind of his spot to lose right now?
OVO. What?
You just got Drake stuck in your head now?
Yeah, no, Chad's got it too. It's actually Kendrick stuck in my head. Golly, he bodied that dude. What was your question about Carson?
Is it pretty much Carson Beck? Like, does Carson Beck have to lose the number 1 overall spot in 2025?
No, I think I think the quarterback room as a whole could get devalued. I think this could be a big positional player draft. The chat's already talked a little bit about James Pierce. Michael Williams is obviously an option, but this could be a very positional player draft heavy, especially last year or following a draft where 6 quarterbacks went in the first round.
I mean, it's very clear and obvious based on the betting odds right now that people believe it's either going to be Shadur or it's going to be Carson if it is a quarterback. Carson's at plus 300, Shedur's at 450, and then you go to Quinn Ewers at third, plus 1,400, Cam Ward behind him at 1,700, and Drew Aller at 1,900.
So, yeah, I guess my thought is if Carson Beck has the same exact season he does this year where it's 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions, like, is there a quarterback that's going to have a more efficient year than that?
No, I mean, if he rinse, washes, and repeats from his 2023 season, I think he's definitely pick 1.
That's why I'm asking, like, is it does he have to get worse pretty much for him to not be the number 1 overall pick?
Yeah.
Yeah,
or just someone has a Joe Burrow like season where it's like that guy was average last year, now he's a superstar, but that's not anything you can control.
Or we just saw it with Jaden Daniels. Right? He didn't go 1-1, obviously,
right?
Caleb Williams, but he had that meteoric rise up ranks and up draft boards. It's hard to sit here and say, hey, who could be that guy? But I mean, Cam Ward physically doesn't match the mold of an NFL riser like that. Like, at least Jaden's 6'4". You know what I mean? Jaden was a 5-star recruit. Cam's 5'11", 190 pounds. I don't know if he's like an elite special athlete with his legs, but I know he's got a really talented arm. Those aren't necessarily like meteoric rise guys.
No.
I'm just reading the Will Howard, Joe
Howard.
Burrow art question mark.
The chat's been wilding. The chat's been wilding lately.
What?
Yeah, I'm not going to go with the Will Howard stuff. This is anti-Will Howard deep state right here.
Holding down strong.
The starter of the anti-Will Howard deep state right here on this channel. Okay, we are shorting that stock so daggum hard. Look like the Big Short.
To be fair, though, this is kind of the treatment you were giving Bo Nix this time last season. He had a great year, so you got to be careful.
Is Will Howard going to throw 35% of his balls at, near, or behind the line of scrimmage?
Maybe.
There's a good chance he does.
I mean, look at who's
Ohio State. Ohio State is not a wide receiver screen heavy football team.
Yeah, but they've got
if they were, they wouldn't have a history of first round draft picks at the receiver position.
Yeah,
they dropped the ball.
They also had a quarterback that could get it there, and
You're right.
Didn't have two game breakers at running back. So,
which is exactly why we're the anti-Will Howard deep state.
We'll see. Just
You're gonna throw Bo Nix in my face? That's crazy.
Hey.
You can put Nix in my face. That's wild, bro.
See, and you get mad at me when I laugh at
That's
it.
wild.
And you
bro.
go and say stuff like
you
that.
teed that up. Dink. Hit that one square.
Do you want to talk about some of these betting lines as well?
Yeah.
Since we're in such a
early betting lines,
mood.
man. So interesting. So the DraftKings came out with some of these early betting lines for Georgia in the upcoming season and some of the SEC opponents that they're going to play. And there's some lofty ones on here.
Can we throw this on the board? I feel like doing some drawing.
Let me see.
Let's find some value on this.
Okay. Let me see. Let me get this going real quick then. I can make it happen.
Yeah, because we have the tweet and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean,
Immediate off top, like what pops out in your head?
Georgia being a double-digit favorite against Clemson.
Yeah, 13.5.
Yeah, 13 or 14.
I don't think it's enough.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those games where it's like you first look at it and you're like, Clemson, really? Then the more you think about it, it's like, well, the rosters are just not the same. That's going to be a game that I think Georgia very well. I can fathom Georgia winning that game by 30 points. I can also fathom them winning it by 7.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find.
I mean, 17.5 against Tennessee is a lot.
It's in Sanford though.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's a fairly it's a late SEC game.
What's the ETA on this?
Currently scrolling for it at the moment. Here it is.
Oh, here we go. Spin over there. Man, we got too many things in the pocket today. All right.
Voila.
My man. Tough on the video team today. That's on me, bro. All right, so this is what we were talking about. This 13.5 against Clemson is a lot.
Yeah.
Neutral site game. That's in Atlanta, right?
Yes,
It's
in Mercedes-Benz.
In the Benz.
Georgia, outside of Alabama, historically whips ass in that stadium.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, other than LSU in 2019, they haven't lost a game.
So a non-SEC championship game there, are they undefeated in that stadium?
Pretty sure, yeah.
All right, so I think that remains there. 4.5, I think that number it'll have a lot of movement after the first 3 weeks of the season.
Very much.
When people actually see what DeBoer looks like. I don't know which way though. If you had to bet, will that line go up or will that line go down?
If it goes down, I think it only goes down by 2 points max. But I could see, like, if Alabama comes out and looks very shitty in their first 2 weeks, that line could get up to 7.5, 8.5.
Real quick. 24 against Auburn is a lot.
I mean,
but that is historically about what it looks like. If that game's at Jordan Hare, that line's like 12.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know?
And
Isn't
it's
that
also
crazy?
like, and you also like, a thing I've noticed about Kirby Smart is he never strings together 2 bad performances in a row against teams not named Alabama.
Yeah.
Like every other team, like if you get him once, he comes back the next year and just kicks your teeth in.
Could you imagine telling a Georgia fan 10 years ago that in 10 years from the future, your 3 biggest rivals, or what many would say your 3 biggest rivals are Florida, Tennessee, and Auburn, you're going to be 15-point favorites over all 3 of them in a season?
I mean, you could do the same for Tech too. Like they'll be 20-point favorites over Tech this year.
I think the one that catches my eye right here is the fact that they're going to get a lot of action. Vegas is on this Texas line.
Yeah.
Texas being a home dog, midway through the season right there.
I could see that one going in.
That's a big money play.
I could see that one turning into favor of Texas by the time kickoff is, just because that seems like in these types of games where it is like 1.5 points, and then you start throwing in the discussion of home field advantage for Texas. Like, I could see it being Texas -1 by
if both teams are undefeated in that football game in November, or it's in late October, October 18th, I think is that game.
Yeah.
If both teams are undefeated that football game, Texas will be favored.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with that.
I don't think the line gets bigger than 3 either way, though.
Georgia was favored over Ole Miss last year by 18, I think it was, by kickoff, was it?
Yeah, the line opened at 17.5 and finished at 18.
Dropping all the way down to -7, a touchdown. I guess it is on the road.
The road and that roster's a lot.
That roster's a lot different, and the home road splits at Ole Miss are different than any other football team probably in the conference.
Ole Miss has a very underrated home field advantage, I feel like.
Well, the offense as a whole operates at a significantly higher rate. I think it was close to 50%, right?
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah, we talked about this ad nauseum last year during that football game, because that was my analysis, was that this offense doesn't necessarily travel as well because they have way too much bells and whistles going on, stuff that you can't do in SEC road environments. So that being at home for Ole Miss is a massive, massive win for them schedule-wise. Don't know if they're going to be able to pull it out.
Is this 3 years in a row that Georgia could potentially be a 20-point-plus favorite over Florida?
I think so.
Because last year I think it was like 21 or something, or maybe in 24 last year I think it was. I can't remember what the year before that was, but I mean, geez.
Billy loses to Georgia by 22. They might fire his ass on spot.
On the bus ride home before you get on the bus.
Give him a Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, something like that. You can't even ride with us, bro. Don't even let that stench back on.
We're going to go make you walk through the parking lots. That's what we're about to make you do. You're going to go walk through all the Georgia tailgates.
You hitchhike on the way home.
Jeez, absolutely wild.
That's crazy.
That Tennessee line is interesting to me.
It's 17.5. Is that what it was?
Yeah, just because I guess it isn't, though, because it got up to what, 15 last year?
Well, and I think it's more of like Kirby Smart doggy stomps this offense.
Yeah.
Or he has.
And they're going to have a quarterback who's, for all extensive purposes, going to be a freshman. Mm-hmm. Not in the fact that he is a freshman, but it'll be his first year starting, and he's an underclassman. So, yeah, I guess 17.5 is appropriate at this point. So,
what
were you saying?
I was going to say, how about Dell McGee? He's put in some quick work over at Georgia State.
Yeah, what's it like? I don't know the numbers on it. Do we have the numbers of commitments that he's got going on right now?
I don't have the number of commitments, but I do know that he's top ranked. So his next class is he's first in Sun Belt in recruiting right now, and then overall he's 71st in the nation, which I would assume is pretty good. Obviously for Sun Belt, if you're first overall in your conference right now, that's got to be pretty good. But I mean, already putting in a lot of work for the 2025 class and got things rolling quickly over there. I can pull out the recruiting class right now for him.
I would like to know what Dale McGee is like in front of someone that, how do I put this? Every time I ever met Dale approached it as if he was definitely talking to like a media guy. He just didn't care to win the conversation.
Seemed very reserved.
Not even reserved, just like low energy, like no juice. Just wasn't applying it to that conversation. But you cannot recruit like this dude has recruited for years on end without being a just straight up dude.
I don't think you can coach in a Georgia football program if you don't have at least some pulse to you.
And I get this from, it's touch and go with coaches. I'm obviously in the thick of it right now. Some coaches are very open to talking to media guys. Some coaches think all of us are just fucking jackwagons with a pencil and a pad holding a camera.
You got 6 tallies tonight.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You don't care anymore?
I do. I'll give them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But yeah, it's very touch and go. Coaches are either and normally it takes, upon like second time they see me, third time they see me, very open to the discussion because now they recognize the asset that is someone who sees as many athletes as I do. But anyways, long discussion short.
They have 3 total commits in the 2025 class right now. Kyle Washington, a wide receiver out of Florida. He's a 3-star. And Tavius Richardson, a defensive back out of Greenville, Georgia. He's also a 3-star. And then Chanston Crosby, a quarterback out of Bamberg, South Carolina, who's also a 3-star.
And they're hammering the portal as well as of late.
Yeah, I can pull the transfer portal class too.
I feel like a team like that kind of has to hammer the portal though.
Yeah, the whole mid-major market has to.
Yeah.
And you're going through a spot right now at Georgia State where they were going to lose a ton of production. We talked about that when Sean Elliott left the job, right? They were 129th in returning production anyways. I don't know how much cleaning out of the roster he's got to do as much as he does adding to the roster.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the roster had kind of cleaned itself out by the time he got there.
By the time just graduation had gotten
like he gets in, it's like 3 people in the locker room.
Yeah, that's a dirty trick, to just kind of turn off we'll call it the Mullen, where not only do you get fired, but you get fired and just leave absolutely shit in terms of reserves left on the roster. Just like, hey, not only did I run it into the wall, but I left it on empty too. So here you go. Look, here's the keys.
They've got 26 incoming transfers this class, and some notable ones. They got a couple guys from the Big Ten that they're bringing in. They got, they got some ACC players that they're bringing in, like a quarterback from Pitt, a Georgia Tech quarterback that they're also bringing in, offensive lineman from Louisville.
They didn't get Zach Pine, did they?
Zach Gibson.
Oh, okay. It's not Zach Pine. It's Zach Poff. Anyways, good for Dale McGee. He's doing well. Took his time, waited it out. I would imagine he had some opportunities probably in years past to at least maybe take Auburn tried to hire him 4 or 5 times during his time at Georgia.
Yeah.
So Zach Pyron, that's the name. I don't know why I went Poff and then something else, but anyways, waited for the right opportunity, and this was certainly the one. I knew he was going to just hammer the trail the moment he took an in-state job, mid-major job like this, because who's he got to recruit against? Georgia Southern? Come on, dude. Statesboro's a dry county. Get out of here.
Is Tech kind of a threat to Georgia State now, or are they still on another level?
Tech's gone into a different echelon. Tech's made it harder for Louisville to come in here and pick off a really talented, skilled player. They've made it harder for UCF to come in here and try to do what they do every once in a while in Metro Atlanta. The inside 285 bunch of athletes, that is a really, really highly recruited area, and Tech's made it harder for the not so massive teams to come in, right? Okay. Tech's going to get blown away by anybody like Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Ohio State. They're still going to get wiped, right? But they might be able to battle with an in-state kid against now a Kentucky, where 4 years ago that was not the case.
So you say you've got upper echelons like your Georgia, Alabama, your teams that can pretty much go and take whoever they want. Then you've got your Tech, and then it's Georgia State below that.
Yeah.
So they're on like a Kennesaw State level right now, or is it?
No, I would say they're slightly above Kennesaw State.
Okay.
They're in that they're in the Coastal Carolina range right now.
Okay.
And they have the potential to beat out Memphis.
Okay.
You follow me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
That's the ceiling for Georgia State, in my opinion.
So would you say that the next step for Dell after this, say it's a success story, which it looks like it's going to be at Georgia State early on perspective, would you say this is something where he has success at Georgia State, and then if South Carolina's job opens up, that's the next stepping stone for him, or is it going to be another small step forward until he climbs all the way up?
What type of level of success are we talking? Are we talking about multiple 10-win seasons at Georgia State? Because if that's the case, insert Power 5 job. Give me that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Mike Norvell, Billy Napier, Tom Herman route.
If it's Dale strung together an 8-4 program, really turned it around, made them really, really scrappy. Hey, the Kentucky job came open because Mark Stoops finally, got pissed off or whatever. Maybe.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
But I think, I don't know. We'll see. I think Dale's recruiting really, really well. We all knew he was going to do that. He's got to still win football games too.
Absolutely.
So, you guys are transitioning.
We know.
Okay.
Why did you really yell like that?
I don't know.
I mean, we can go into overreactions for Georgia now at this point.
I got some good ones on here again.
Some
I think I cooked with my overreactions today. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I think
Hit
so.
me then.
Okay. I think that Jake Pope becomes one of the best secondary players in the SEC for Georgia this year.
Lord.
Whoa.
Sit down, Dan Jackson.
Yeah.
KJ Bolden, you're not getting on the field this year.
What's fun about overreactions if you aren't just going from top rope all the way?
That's fair.
I didn't know we were doing the other guy's scene where we literally jump off the fucking roof and aim for the bushes.
You think
I didn't know that's what we were doing.
You think it's that drastic?
I mean, saying Jake Pope's going to be one of the best defensive backs in the conference this year means like he's not even like he might not be like 3 right now in his own room. So yeah, it's a little bit like, hey man, we're gonna do this. Yeah, aim for the bushes.
I think that more so like the reason maybe kind of prompt this is because not only because of what he did at G-Day, but like also knowing that if he does like become number 2 to Malachi Starks, we know that nobody gives Malachi Starks the business, and so it's probably going to be more likely that everybody's going towards Jake Pope if he is the other guy out there, and it's gonna. Why is that funny?
It's just it's a funny term to me. Like there's no innuendo about it at all. It's just funny.
Okay, well, he's going to have ample amount of opportunity to make plays and be an impactful player, and so I think that could kind of create this whole like collective fandom around Jake Pope and like get people really paying attention to him because he's the one that's being forced to make the plays.
I mean, that is fair. I feel like Dan Jackson would get those reps first just because he's not the legacy guy, but the old head in that room. He knows the defense the best. Like what we saw from Jake Pope and G, I think surprised everyone pleasantly. Like he looked really, really good, but I don't know if that's going to necessarily turn into like true quality reps in the 2023 season, or the 2024 season, 2025 maybe.
So this isn't an overreaction, but it's more of a confirmation of my overreaction from the tape. I think I'd mentioned how I thought Christian Miller had a tremendous spring game. Mm-hmm. I think that portal entry might have been some potential poaching going on. Like, why else would he be entering the portal? Probably because his phone was blowing up like hell when the defensive tackle market went all berserk, just absolute berserk. So yeah. I think the overreaction on the Christian Miller discussion came from other P4 rosters that thought Christian Miller was definitely going to enhance theirs. So I would go with that.
I like that.
But it's more of they saw what we saw and were willing to tamper to try to add him to the roster. And then he was like, nah, I'm good.
If it was tampering, it's safe to say that Georgia countered.
Maybe not even countered, or maybe just had a realistic conversation with him. Just like, bro, what are you doing? Like you're on the like you're finally about to play for us. What are you doing?
Okay, yeah, I got
pay you well.
Like reaffirmation.
You're not starving. You're gonna play.
Okay.
This year, where are you going?
I got you.
That kind of thing.
I got one. So we've all kind of agreed that this has the potential to be Georgia's best receiver room under Kirby Smart, and we think it's easily the most talented. And we've also kind of talked about how this is one of the deepest running back rooms they've had in a long time. With that said, of everything I watched in the spring game, I don't think Georgia has a 1,000-yard receiver or rusher this year. Not because
too many guys.
There's too many guys. There's too much talent this year. I think there's 6 or 7 guys that are going to get catches at the receiver position on this team, and I think there's 3 or 4 backs that are consistently going to get run. And combined with the fact that they're not going to run the ball that much or as much as they used to. So I don't think you have 1,000 yards anywhere.
I'll piggyback. Okay. I think that's absolutely fair. We kind of talked about this when we were setting the bar for the running back room of probably gone are the days it feels like where you're going to have 1,000-yard rusher because you really bolstered your roster and also you just kind of hand out totes to a variety of guys and you really don't gas anybody out like you used to. And you don't until you maybe get one of those guys again, like we mentioned of Nick Chubb or Sony Michel. Until that happens, maybe you get back into that realm. But for now, like especially for this season, I completely agree with that. I'll piggyback though off of you for the wide receiver group. Georgia has 3 wide receivers finish the season with first-round grades.
Who would they be?
Dylan Bell, Dominic Lovett, and then either like Ra Thomas or Colby Young, like one of the two. I think that there's going to be 3 guys, and like this is just initial, like right after the season.
That's a lot.
I think there's also, but I think it's possible.
Georgia going to go from not having a first-round wide receiver drafted since 2011 to having 3 in one round.
3 first-round grades.
Grades. Okay.
Not saying
so 3. Just homeboy messed around, put him in a mock.
Yeah, it's the same thing of like Lab McConkey was continually pinned as like a potential first-round player. I think that it's very possible for that to happen this next year. Again, with like Dominic Lovett, Dylan Bell, Colby Young, of like they could potentially be first-rounders.
In that group right now, Dylan is the one who's the only one so far who's gotten first-round buzz. Or at least the NFL is like, we love that dude.
Hey, what's going on here?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, Dominic Lovett
could play their way in
for sure.
I want to know what Dom tests. He's not very big.
Yeah,
very big.
That was one reason why I kind of hindered maybe from putting Dom in there because just the measurables don't exactly scream first rounder. But if he puts up a whole lot of production and like he replicates what he did at Missouri 2 years ago, then it could just be enough of like that dude consistently got the job done at the SEC level and he was really great.
I got one for you. with a defense that features Malachi Starks and Michael Williams, CJ Allen will be the best defender on the football field for Georgia this year. How about that?
Better than 2 first rounders this next year.
I think he's a first rounder in and of his own right. But yeah, I think at times this year, a lot of the time this year, he's just in a position where he's going to make so many plays.
Yeah.
And he's so fast. He's going to be around the ball at all times. I think there's going to be a narrative about Georgia's defense that's led by number 3.
So you think he's going to be better than Michael and Malachi?
No, I think he's going to be he's going to be the best. He's going to be the best player. No different than at times Nakobe Dean was the best player on Georgia's defense that featured Trayvon Walker, Jordan Carter.
Jordan Davis.
Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis.
There you go.
Jordan Carter, Jalen Davis. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, usually that linebacker is kind of the focal point of the defense just because he's a center and he's usually the leader of that, calling signals and things such as that. So I don't think that's too much of an overreaction. It is to look at it on paper and be like, you think he's going to be better than Malachi Starks and Michael Williams, but 2 guys who are practically locks for the first round, but it makes sense.
Plus, too, offenses can somewhat avoid Michael Williams and Malachi Starks.
Yeah, that was my next point.
You can't avoid CJ Allen. There's no working around CJ Allen and making sure that we just stay out of his way, because
there's going to be an offense in America throwing anywhere near Malachi Starks this fall.
Yeah, whereas CJ Allen, you can't just avoid him for the entirety of the game. Eventually he's going to be in on plays, he's going to be making plays. So I think off of that, I could see that absolutely happening.
I've got one. Georgia's O-line will at the very least be finalists for the Joe Moore Award this year.
I said win it.
That's fine too. I didn't want to. It's just Michigan's not going to be what they were. Washington lost pretty much everything. What are their offensive line other than maybe LSU. Alabama and LSU? Mm-hmm. But again, I would say Georgia's got light years ahead of those 2.
I don't know. LSU's got 2 first-round tackles.
They do.
The Will Campbell kid, the Emory Jones kid are nuts.
But again,
have you seen the Will Campbell kid's stance?
I don't think so.
Oh my God, it's the goofiest thing in the world.
Oh, you're gonna do it for us.
Oh yeah, I've been watching it lately.
God, dude,
my man's literally stands feet parallel apart. Okay, at all 6'6", 350 pounds of him, and he just goes.
Looks like you're about to throw it back,
bro. This is his stance right here the whole time. He blocks SEC edge rushers just like this. Goofy as shit, but he is a guy. He is an absolute guy. So yeah, it'll be interesting to watch.
That's not something teams would want to fix.
I mean, dude, if he gets it done, he gets it done.
Okay,
I would immediately day one. I'm an aesthetics guy. If it looks like shit, I just assume it plays like shit.
Yeah.
But going back to the LSU thing, another thing you have to consider is offensive line success is pretty much only measured by team success. How well was your quarterback protected? How well did you run the ball? You can't tell me that LSU has a monstrous running game this year, even though they have 2 offensive tackles that are going to go in the first round. Even if Garrett Nussmeier is a really, really good quarterback this year, I don't think that's going to be measured as well. Point. So that's why I think that they should at the very least be finalists. But I do think they should win it. I think this should be the year.
Trevor Etienne, first team All SEC overreaction from the spring game.
Oh yeah, that is an overreaction.
You think it's overreaction? Who's the best SEC back?
That's what I was just trying to think of.
Yeah,
as I was saying that midseason.
Justice Haynes,
Raheem Sanders.
Raheem Sanders, new team, South Carolina offensive line.
Might get fed the rock though. I don't know.
Who's Texas's running back? What is it?
A smorgasbord. Probably gonna be Cedric Baxter, the sophomore. I mentioned Justice Haynes.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of
a thin running back.
It's kind of mid here in the conference. We're definitely forgetting somebody. Kentucky, Ray Davis left. They're going to have a brand new starter up there.
You mentioned Baxter, right?
Cody Schrader gone from Missouri. Mm-hmm. They're going to have a new starter up there.
You mentioned Baxter, right?
Yeah. Cedric Baxter out there at Texas.
Just covering
LSU's committee type shit.
Yeah.
All SEC, not a bad little play.
Who does Tennessee have up there?
Not Jalen.
It's not. Is it Jalen Wright?
No, he just got drafted. He just got drafted.
I can't think of who it is, but I'm just saying,
There's
Tennessee,
Trey Henderson in the mix.
Tennessee, they run the ball really well. So I think that
Jamari Small.
Oh
maybe?
That's who it is.
That's who it is.
Yeah.
I think that could be someone I could see contending with them because they're going to run the ball really well. They have,
but again, 900 yards, 1,000 yards gets you there
for sure.
Your first team All SEC.
Do you have one more? Or?
I do. I think this one's my favorite one. And this is the one I could see happening the most, honestly, out of all the ones I mentioned. Chaz Chambliss becomes a fan favorite this season. I think he's going to, like, fans are going to fully buy into it. And I think that they're going to start to love him because I think that not only because Michael Williams and him are going to kind of be splitting, but I think it's because, like, you're going to get smaller spurts of him. And because of that, I think fans are going to notice him more when he's on the field, and they're going to appreciate the good plays that he made, because last year, one bad play buried every good thing that he did on the football field last year.
Here's what I need. I need like 3 big hits. I need you to like run through an MFer's face on
like that Orange
counter.
Bowl against Michigan.
Yeah, no. Well, Michael was the one in that clip that broke the face mask.
I'm talking about
he speared that guy out in the flat. Yeah,
he got a target penalty, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's a big hit. He needs one of those, but he also needs one like in the run game where he just like blows an offensive guard up and makes him quit the sport. Like you can see the dude's like teeth shatter in the middle of the clip.
Ooh,
I want to see a face mask explode, him go viral for being just a tough ass SOB, and then people will shut up.
Yeah,
but but also, dude, granted, it was a bunch of vet moves, like in terms of we know it's a passing scrimmage type shit from Chaz Chambliss in the spring game. But if he rushes like that this year, he's gonna get home. He's gonna get some sacks. So there's that.
Will they though? Will they? I think
what?
Georgia's fan base,
I think Georgia's fan base is out on Chaz Chambliss.
I think it's so hard for whatever reason for the Georgia fan base. Like even after Stetson won 2 national titles, like people were still like, this guy stinks.
At DogFan796 just doesn't understand.
Yeah, and like the Justin Fields thing. Like there are still people that believe Justin Fields would have been the savior of Georgia football had he stayed. So like what it seems to me like, and I've been in the fan base my entire life, when the fans collectively make their mind up about a person, like they can do no right or they can do no wrong.
And the idea that you've never seen your theories or thoughts be proven wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like the person that's still holding on to Justin Fields will always hold on to that because, you know, even though he's on his second team and now he's a backup with the Steelers, and it's all because he can't really read the field, and that's kind of the reason all the way back in 2017 he was not the starter at the University of Georgia.
Right.
Despite the fact that all of those signs of proof are there. Oh, and by the way, him going to Ohio State opened up a scholarship opportunity for Stetson to return, who was ultimately the one who goes on to win the 2 national titles. Despite the fact that there's just this mountain of evidence of proof that the right decision was made, you can't tell me otherwise. You know, that fan, you can't tell me otherwise.
Right.
That's the whole point.
This is kind of off topic, but who do you think is going to be, it's going to be harder for them to win over the fan base? Dalen Everett or Chaz Chambliss?
Well, Dalen being a strap for like 3 games is going to solve everything.
You think?
Oh, yeah. But Chaz, the moment he gets ran around on the outside, even though that's the design of the defense, for Christ's sakes, if you guys do not understand this, I'm going to blow an effing gasket this year. An effing gasket. The whole purpose of the effing defense is for them to force the running back to bounce and run east and west. And then guess what? The fast SOBs run the sumbitch down and tackle him before he gets to the sideline. So the moment that happens, Joe Smo will go to Twitter and go, "This son of a bitch needs to get off the field.
Can't set the edge.
Can't set the edge.
Oh, I'm not scared of Chaz Chambliss. All I got to do is pass block him." Fuck up.
Yes.
So, yeah, that'll happen.
I've got one more overreaction.
Come on.
Carson Beck throws for 4,800 yards this year.
48?
Yeah, he's going to play 3 more games this season.
4,800 yards?
He's going to play 3 more games.
That's so many.
I got to look at this and see how many people have done that.
Well, the 5K mark's basically the mark to win Heisman. That's all purpose.
Yeah, but also think about it.
All purpose yards.
Think about it. You're adding 2 games to the schedule, 2 major games. And oh, by the way, you've got more stiffer competition. You're not playing. You're going to play more fourth quarters this year. There's not going to be as many Kentucky blowouts where it's, hey, we can sit you in the fourth quarter and let Brock Vandagriff get some run because we're up by 30. Like, you have to travel to Texas. You have to travel to Alabama. There are going to be dog fights this year more than usual. So I think Carson Beck is going to, if he averages 303 a game and plays 16 games this year, he goes for like 4,700.
Okay, since 2016, 8 quarterbacks have hit the 4,800 mark.
Okay.
Bro, we just saw a graphic that had this team favored by more than a touchdown, more than 17 points against half of their SEC opponents. I'm not even talking about Georgia Tech. I'm not talking about Ball State. I'm not talking about slappy FCS Southeast. Half of their SEC teams, they're 17-point favorites. This dude will not be playing fourth quarters enough to be throwing for 4,800 yards.
You don't think so?
I do not.
Even with the 2 additional postseason games that are going to be against top 10 opponents?
That is a good idea. That's a good reason and a proponent of your argument. However, I don't think he's going to have, there are going to be multiple games this year where he doesn't have an attempt in the fourth quarter.
I agree with that.
So 4,800
He's just going to throw for 400 in the 3 quarters.
Hey, no shit. There's several games last year he had 300 in the first half. So I'm not putting it past him, but you basically have to average like 340 yards a game to do that.
He had 300. He averaged 303 last year.
That's a massive step. 37 yards a game is doesn't sound like a lot. That's a lot.
For an average, yeah.
It's basically half of a drive, half of a scoring drive.
That was a good one to say for last, though.
I like that one.
That was
all right. If there was one guarantee you could pick, other than obviously like Georgia wins X game or they beat so and so, if I could give you one guarantee, you get to pick one guarantee for the 2024 season. What would you want for Georgia to have? Like for example, Georgia has a 1,000-yard receiver, or Georgia has a 1,000-yard rusher, or Carson Beck throws for 30 touchdowns. What's one guarantee?
Georgia doesn't have a single offensive line injury.
Ooh, I like that.
Give me that. Their offense is fine no matter what.
For me, it was pretty easy. I said Georgia has an interior defensive lineman become a superstar this season. I think that's the biggest thing that would take
I thought we were
Georgia.
guaranteeing a current thing. What? Either way.
Like throughout the 2024 season, like a guarantee. Like something.
I want to guarantee a title.
So, okay.
No, you can't.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like you can't do that other than like game outcomes.
Yeah.
Like something throughout the 2024 season other than game outcomes. Obviously, if you say,
I'll still stick with my answer. Give me a healthy offensive line.
I'll tweak it a little bit, and I'll say Nazir Stackhouse plays like a top 50 pick or top 60 pick in this year.
Mocks apparently think he is?
Like, so he plays like a top 60 NFL draft prospect this year. That would be my guarantee for Georgia this year, because if it is, I think that's the biggest difference maker for this team, is if they can get that, if they can add that final piece into the mix, I think it takes them up another notch amongst these other teams. It takes them up above Texas even more than what they, or if they're tied, like it takes them above them right now. I think that's just one of the biggest factors. Like if you can get that to happen for Georgia this year, if they can just get a game wrecker or somebody just to be consistently great every single game, I think that is a massive improvement for Georgia and huge for them.
I've got a couple. The first one I have is Georgia doesn't allow a single offensive rushing touchdown this year. Like if you can guarantee that, I think that's massive. Like consistently holding teams in the red zone to 3. Like that's
they did that until week 10 in 2021.
Yes, like he was late.
Auburn got him late.
It was late in the regular season.
Yeah.
I think it was even against like
it was a Missouri, Texas A&M.
No, I think it was
somebody got him real late.
I think it was like Charleston Southern did it. Honestly,
okay,
and like a week 11 thing. The other one I have is Georgia has 80% touchdown efficiency in the red zone.
That's like 7 points higher than they were last year. 8 points higher. Weren't they like 72% last year?
I think so.
Pulling it up right now.
So I mean, just like, because I felt like the mantra about the last year's offense, in my opinion, was, oh, we keep stalling out in the red zone. We can't punch it in for whatever reason, especially earlier in the season when they had those, quote, slow starts. So I think if you can guarantee that 80% of the time you get to the red zone, you're scoring a touchdown.
It'd be a 10-point improvement. They were at 70% last year.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a difference of what? 30 more points in the season.
Just to let you know, that would have led the nation last year. 80% touchdown conversion rate in the red zone would have led the nation. The highest was Oregon State at 78%.
So yeah, I mean that'd be gold.
Boy, they just must not have gotten there very many times.
Let's see.
The red zone package must be dialed from that football coach.
They had 42 attempts in the red zone.
Yeah. But when he get in there, he get to pay dirt.
And 42 ranks 81st in the country.
You know what that is? That is a sign of a tremendous play caller that just ain't got no jimmies. Just ain't got no jimmies. So maybe he'll figure it out in Michigan State.
Yeah, but I've been seeing a lot of articles. This isn't Georgia related, but I've been seeing a lot of articles lately about
a lot of pro Sparty.
No, anti-Sparty.
Oh,
Saying,
anti-Sparty deep state?
saying like Jonathan Smith already failing in the transfer portal recruitment, like already not getting things going. Like, when is Michigan State going to get out of this slump? Like, I read this article today where this person was talking about like, when is Michigan State going to be great again? About when are they going to return back to making the college football playoff like they did in 2015? Like, we've had this drought from the college football playoff over the years. Like, you really thought you were doing it like that consistently every single year? Like, you're trying to act like that, oh, this is all of a sudden we're not good anymore?
Bro really thinks he's him.
I was like, interesting. I didn't know Michigan State fans felt this way.
I just want to see a reaction to this, but read what a dog catcher 26 said in chat.
Just straight up, Chaz is a scrub?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to have an anti-certified ball knower certificate. Maybe just like a flaming bag of poop that we put on someone's doorstep. We'll send you the first one there, Dog Catcher 26.
We need to start putting more propaganda that he's not a scrub.
It's another one of them flaming bags again. Don't step it out with your boots, Ted. Don't tell me what to do, devil woman.
Oh, shit.
He called this shit poop.
Oh my god. Jeez. But do you have any more guarantees that you would like? Interior defensive line was it for me. That was the biggest one for me.
Can we guarantee Shoe for 2025? That'd be cool.
Ooh, that is good. I mean, is that much of a worry now? I feel like if Shoe wanted...
It's really died down. It died down this offseason. It was very quiet.
Yeah, like I remember going into 2023, there was all like, oh shit, the Eagles might take him. There was a while for... but I mean, like, I feel like Alabama was the job for him.
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't...
It's too early.
Yeah.
It was too early for
So you think it was more like Alabama didn't come knocking for him?
I don't think they called.
Really?
There were too many...
They started with Sark, went to Land, and then went to DeBoer. Very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think Shoe even got a call.
I think that's a massive jump too to take.
Got the lighter.
I think that's too like a massive jump. Like, we think about Kirby Smart going from defensive coordinator to taking the Georgia job, but Kirby Smart was around Nick Saban and was a defensive coordinator for so freaking long. Like, he waited and waited and waited and went to different stops with Nick Saban, went to the NFL with Nick Saban, LSU, Alabama, like wherever. Like, he spent a lot of time building up that resume to where he was able to be one of the top candidates to go to Georgia. Whereas like Shoe, he's been a really good defensive coordinator, and obviously he is one of the best in all of college football, but that's still such a massive leap for him to go from there to like, I'm head coach at Alabama now.
Yeah, and I guess like that's true as well, but I also think like you touched on this a while back, like Glenn Schumann doesn't strike you as a person who has like a burning desire to go out and be a head coach. Like, Glenn Schumann seems like he is truly a guy who loves X's and O's type thing, and you don't really do that as a head coach in this day and age.
I think if college football became more aligned to like a professional structure, he would be more apropos to do this.
With like revenue split?
Yeah, just like return. I think revenue sharing might allow coaches to get back to coaching again, right? Because we'll actually have contracts. Players will be tied in for, you would presume, a year. Things like this that would actually allow guys to get back to just standard recruiting cycles, standard football operations. I can actually, coach a kid hard because I'm not having to worry about whether or not he, is going to leave me tomorrow or ask for a new raise or whatever the hell is going on nowadays. I think you might actually, return to some sanity in the sport. And if that were the case, guys like this might be a little bit more apropos to do this. But he's not going to be jumping at, just an opportunity to be a head football coach because, well, he's one of the highest paid defensive coordinators in the sport, not just in college football. He's one of the highest paid coordinators in the sport.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess my thing is I can't ever see him taking a head coaching job. It would be, I feel like it'd be a defensive coordinator position in the NFL. That would be the reason he lost. And you had a perfect opportunity for that 2 years ago with the Eagles and he didn't take it. So,
and the Ravens this year, wasn't it?
I think they
kind of flirted
it was like
with
mentioned,
yeah,
called,
yeah,
but I don't think that it was anything substantial. So, do you even need to guarantee that Glenn Schumann's going to be like? Is that something that you would feel like? Is there anyone on this coaching staff right now that you're like, hey, that might be a guy who you're really worried about losing in 2025?
I don't want to get there. I think there are. Okay. Yes, I think there are. As every year.
Right.
Like, if you had asked me this last year, I wouldn't think of Brian McClendon was going to be taking a lateral move to the freaking NFL.
That's fair.
He took a wide receivers coaching job in the NFL, co-passing coordinator job in the NFL. That is nuts. It's crazy. He literally jumped a lateral rung. from college to pro. That is, I've never seen that happen.
I mean, that might be a workload thing as well, though. You think?
Well, it's a tremendous promotion, though, is what I'm saying. Like, you're going to go from being like, that's not an offensive coordinator in college going to be a wide receivers coach and pass game coordinator in pro ball. That is a guy who is being a wide receivers coach and a pass game coordinator in college to getting the same role in pro ball.
Yeah, but my point is like from the workload perspective, where it's like I don't have to worry.
Saying, why did he do it?
Yeah.
Well, no, he did it because it's a tremendous promotion and you don't have to work as hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he probably got a raise and he's in the NFL.
Well, yeah, I think that makes sense then.
For him, it was a non debate.
Yeah.
You take the job, you go. That type thing.
Absolutely agree. You want to do player of the day next?
We can. We can also talk about what change do you think has impacted Georgia the most over the last 5 years?
Ooh. I'll go last.
Okay. I'll kind of keep it the same that I did with the guarantee this year. I think it has been the revamp of the defensive line room. And more specifically, not that Georgia didn't have a good defensive line like prior to 2020, but I think over the last 5 years, Georgia has seen the benefits of having NFL dudes at those positions every single year, and how much that changes you defensively, how much that impacts the football game, and like consistently having someone recruit these types of guys and being able to siphon them in every single year, develop them, turning them into these NFL prospects. Like, I think that has been such a huge thing for Georgia defensively, because like we saw them what it was like when they had a Roquan at linebacker, and we saw them what it was like having great defensive backs like DeAndre Baker. But it wasn't until like you got the linebackers and the defensive backs, and then you added in these all-class defensive linemen in the mix. Like, that's what really put it all together. And I think that was the biggest change and most impactful change that has happened to Georgia over the last 5 years.
You still want to go last?
No, I got some.
Go ahead.
Offensive identity's changed just in general.
Damn it, I should have gone.
Right, just in general, offensive identity has changed. But the biggest reason for that was the tight end room and the two players specifically that came through. Right, revolutionary, like generational type humans for very different reasons. Darnell being probably the best blocking tight end that Georgia will ever have. Like, he was your Robert Gronkowski. Let's just call it what it was. That's what that guy did for your offense from a run game perspective for 2.5 years while he was doing it, right? And then you have this Brock Bowers guy who is very transcendent and one of one in his own right for the ability to do all these different things. So the talent that you had, and the two talents specifically that you had in the tight end room, really morphed how you went about playing offensive football. But more importantly, we talked about it last night, the 2019 SEC championship game and debacling to LSU was a moment of recognition of, hey, we can't just play, bloody them up, bludgeon to death, Georgia brand football, Kirby Smart, run, play defense type shit and win nowadays in college football. It's just not what it's going to be. So that was a massive changing point. That was post 2020. But I think more importantly, it was because of the types of football players that you had in the tight end room. That changed tremendously. Just from a scouting perspective and how we go about doing things in terms of a scouting department, looking at it from a bird's eye view, your offensive line body type has changed. You've gone way freaking larger. Like, be damned, don't care if you're a center. We'll find somebody to play it. Just give me 6'6", 315 plus. Like, if you're not that, we just won't even get you in the building. We're not even going to evaluate you. We're only going to evaluate that crop of players. If there's a top 100 player that does not meet those thresholds, we'll think about it. A la David Sanders, Zaire Addison in this class. Like, those two are transcendent athletes. Let's get them in no matter what. We'll make them whatever we want them to be. But other than that, we have a mold at this position. Same thing on the other side of the football. The outside linebacker room has changed dramatically just in types of the types of football players that they recruit, right? Azeez Ojulari made them get really happy about these types of football players that are 6'2.5", 245, built like brick shit houses and can really play outside linebacker, off-ball linebacker, and stop the run. Think MJ Sherman, think Chaz Chambliss. Well, I think what they figured out was, well, shit, not everybody's going to be the next Von Miller at this body size. Not everybody's going to be Azeez Ojulari and an absolute freak. Not everyone's going to be Nolan Smith. In fact, for every Nolan Smith, we might end up with a Chaz Chambliss. Or for every Azeez Ojulari, we might end up with an MJ Sherman who just kind of gets swallowed by the length every once in a while. So what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to go start recruiting Quintavious Johnsons to play the this position that are 6'5", 265 pounds. Guys like Isaiah Gibson, who's committed to USC, that you're really, really hard on or hard after right now, in the sense that this is a 6'5", 265 pound human. We're going to make him play Jack. Oh, Michael Williams, by the way, go play Jack this year. The body types have changed at those two positions.
That's that's pretty much what I had. Basically, like your offensive scheme changed, or not scheme as much as your approach did change after that 2019 game. I think looking back, that's one of the biggest things because that was really the turning point. Like you saw the wheels kind of turning in 2020 where they still kind of got caught behind in some things. They were still working the kinks out. Obviously, having a COVID season didn't help. But 2021, you kind of saw the fruits of that labor, having a guy that can deal out those to the receivers that you needed to. So I think that's probably the biggest change that's affected Georgia football, along with utilizing the true zero and then the 4-2-5. Like that's been spectacular. I think kind of going away from three true linebackers where you had when you first got there with Roquan, it was like Roquan, Natrez Patrick, and Reggie Carter.
It was more of a move to the mint.
Yeah. So I think that was also a big utilization. But your defense was also always kind of good under Kirby Smart. So,
and I don't think NIL has changed this much as it has hammered home the point that Georgia invests ball out. Okay, what do I mean by that? They are going to invest nowadays dollar value. Used to it was just recruiting assets in the positions closest to the ball working outward. Okay, they're going to spend assets on offensive linemen, defensive linemen, quarterbacks, interior defensive backs, tight ends, running backs, okay, guys like this. And then as they get further away from the ball, we're going to find other ways to find positional value. We might have to recruit Dylan Bell, Ladd McConkey, A.D. Mitchell, okay, guys that are 3-star football players that nobody really knew about, but we found them, okay, shouts out. Ran into a coach today that was trying to take credit for Ladd McConkey. It's like, I was at Tennessee and we found him first, and I'm like, Coach, if y'all found him first, he would have been there. He loved y'all since he was a child. So I didn't want to call bullshit on him in front of everybody in the room, but I almost did. I was like, you're FOS right now. That's just not true. But anyways, they have this valued system now where they have to hit home runs on recruiting and talent evaluations on guys that are lesser than recruits and develop them there, and then hit on guys out of the portal, because we're not signing 5-stars and 4-stars at the wide receiver position because they want a lot of money coming out of high school, and we're just not going to do that as a scouting department.
I like it.
So not changed anything. Like I said, more hammered at home.
You gonna go 3 out of 4 on Player of the Day?
I mean, I hope so, buddy. Let's see what you got for me.
This one's interesting.
Are you excited?
He retracted his first one, and then he landed on this one.
I went on this guy after I found. I retracted my first one after I found this guy. So,
oh man, this is small school. You're going back to Raven Gap?
I know, that's what I said.
Oh man,
but he's transferred schools now. I can't remember where he's at.
So
now.
let me tell you about this.
What happened to Raven Gap losing their players?
I don't know.
This guy is Onis Koningbanny. He is a very interesting story. He's a soccer player who originally lived in France and Europe, or England. Came to America in 2022, and he's been playing football since.
He's an edge rusher?
He's not. He's a corner right now.
Oh.
So.
Oh, I think I've seen this kid.
Well, then let's see.
Is he really, really long?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen this kid. Where's 21?
I believe so.
Yeah, I've seen this kid. I was at this game. Holy shit, this is the game. I'm here. Let's see if we can find my fat butt. That's Jaden Davis throwing that ball. Let's see if we can find my fat butt on that sideline. We probably can. No, I saw this one live as a sophomore and was like, you know what? Buddy, one of them. I think is he committed anywhere?
No, he's got 42 offers from like UNC, Tennessee, Penn State, Utah, and Bama. So big schools.
He was a Tennessee lean when I saw him as a sophomore. Again, same game here. Your boy's somewhere. Yeah, you hit the Raven Gap guys that I done seen. That's a good opening of the hips right there. I don't care about the interception. The ball is thrown like shit. But the transition here, going from my hips are this way to my hips are now this way. Yeah. You saw the knee drop as he came out of it?
Oh, yeah.
See the knee drop as he came out of it? That is a smooth mover. Play the ball. A little handsy. A little handsy.
A little bit there.
A little handsy there, too. That's all right, though.
Hell, if they're going to let you get away with it.
I'm confused as to why we have... Is this his junior tape?
I believe.
Is it listed as his junior tape? Because he has sophomore clips on his junior tape. That's
I think
a little
it's
sus.
sophomore.
I think it is his sophomore tape.
It's sophomore tape. Okay,
Yeah,
I don't know if he had junior tape up.
We're good. What school is he at now?
Somewhere in like
South Carolina now.
yeah.
Well, Raymond Gap's close. Did he just go right across the right across the state line?
He now goes to Heathwood Hall Episcopal School in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah, so he went just across the state line. Raymond Gap's right up there in y'all know Rabun County. It's like right up there in the upper armpit of Northeast Georgia.
So I guess
It's a better, I'll tell you this, it's a better in-person eval than it is on tape. But it's hard to pop on tape as a corner.
I was about to say.
If you're a high school corner, they should just never throw at you. If you're a great high school corner, there should be no tape.
all right. So what's your verdict on that one?
I liked him the moment I saw him in person. The problem is I think he's only about 5'11".
Yeah, he's listed at 6 feet on 247. His huddle says 6'2".
Yeah, so from what we do on this channel in the local hour in terms of evaluating prospects for Georgia, 6'1" plus sub 11 seconds, 190 pounds. Those are the thresholds to play corner at Georgia. Now, not everyone fits that mold, but damn near everyone fits that mold.
Yeah.
Damn near everyone fits that mold at Georgia right now.
So is that a hit or a miss on my part?
I like the prospect. I'm gonna call it a hit. The tape is not the baseline for hits on tape now are going to be Jaden Harmon. Is it Jaden Harmon quality? The answer on that tape is no. The player is P5 good though. The player is SEC high quality good.
So now you got to step it up a little bit.
Yeah, it works for me. Like I said, I wasn't like, hey, this is a hit for sure, but I like the tape. So where are you going tomorrow? And
tomorrow we have. Oh man, you put me on the spot. Oh, I already have it pulled up right here. Oh, we're Buford tomorrow. We're Buford tomorrow. We're Buford, Mill Creek, North Gwinnett. That's what we have tomorrow.
anyone in particular you're excited to see, or?
I want to see this safety that's blowing up from Buford. He's supposed to be the next KJ Bolden.
Oh,
he's 2026 though. He's already got good film. Excited to see him, and just like who swelled up. You know, Edric Houston this time last year was the guy that I walked through and was like, oh my God, coach, who is that human? Because he had gained like 40 pounds.
Yeah.
Since the last time I saw him.
Was the last time you were at Buford that game where they had the brawl, or have you been there since then?
No, I went back and doubled down on those guys last year during the season. So there's that.
You got anything else, Shedeur?
no, I was gonna say I know that doesn't Mill Creek have a edge rusher that is kind of has blown up over, like I would say last year or so. I can't remember his name.
I think he committed to Alabama recently.
Yeah.
White kid.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, where's number 2 for them, or maybe number 5?
I can't think.
They
of his
also
name.
have an interior offensive lineman that I think just committed to North Carolina as well. Don't know if I get to see them practice just because of the way the scheduling goes.
What do you think is the high school that has like the most P5 players on it right now?
Per the list that I received, Buford, for sure.
Okay.
Douglas County's close. Langston Hughes is close.
Where's Milton in that list?
Milton's close. Milton's like 6 or 7 guys, maybe 8 or 9.
6 or 7 Power 5 guys. Holy shit.
Yeah. Buford's at like 8 or 9. Grayson's close. You know, there's a bunch. There's a lot of them.
Shout out Georgia football.
Shit, Calvary Day's got 5 of them. 3 or 4 of them. Well, 3A private school in Savannah. Benedictine's got 4 or 5 of them.
Good Lord.
The military academy.
Keep going down the list, baby.
Yeah, man. There's a shitload of them. Walton's got 4.
What about Sequoia?
We'll see you. We'll see you Thursday. Love you. Bye.
No Sequoia love.